Howdy, this is Lemmy with RevZilla. Howdy, this is Lemmy with RevZilla. Welcome to our 2016 Tires Gear Guide here at RevZilla.com. Most of the folks within RevZilla's walls know me as the tire guy. I know an awful lot about tires, and I'm also the professor emeritus of our Gear Geek Tire College. Now, the Tires Gear Guide is really where I'm trying to cook down all of the very best tires we've seen come through the halls here at RevZilla. It's part of our larger Gear Guide series, where all sorts of folks on staff kind of delve into their area of expertise and present to you the best of what's coming down the pike for 2016. So for the Tires Gear Guide this year, we're going to set things up based upon your needs as a rider. First, we're going to look at some street mileage options, those of you who are looking to get good life out of your tires. And from there, we're going to move into a street performance section for those of you who are willing to give up a little bit of mileage, but you really want maximum adhesion to the pavement. Finally, we're going to round things off with some ATV tires, stuff for on and off-road adventures. If at any point you want to click to that point in the video and stop hearing me yammer on, feel free to do so, use that menu, and get to the point that most interests you. Let's get things kicked off right now, though, with some of the street mileage options coming down the pike for 2016 that are going to be a great option for those of you looking for long-wearing tires. I'd like to start out with the Michelin Commander 2. This is a returning champion from 2014 and 2015. The Commander 2 is a killer tire when it comes to mileage. Some of you may remember from last year we talked about riders on, big old fully loaded electric glides getting 25,000 miles out of these. So if you're a cruiser rider or you're riding around a Harley Davidson and you want to stack on the miles, Commander 2 is a great option. Now, there are going to be a few of you out there who say, well, wait, there's all sorts of great mileage tires for my Harley/cruiser. The Commander 2, though, has a secret weapon, and it is the grip. Sure, there's lots of great mileage tires out there. We've called out before the Metzeler ME880. We've also called out the 888, and those are great mileage tires. But Commander 2 is rivaling just about everything in its category in terms of absolute grip. Short of pure, flat-out, dry weather grip, there's really not much else that can combine the levels of grip and mileage you're going to get from a Commander 2. So if you're on a Metro Cruiser, or perhaps you're cruising around on a Harley Davidson, you probably want to look into a Commander 2 tire. The aramid fibers in here that are stronger than steel really lend themselves well to long life. That's why it's in 2016's Gear Guide. Moving on, we have another fan favorite, the Bridgestone BTO23. This is going to be both a new tire and an old tire. Let me explain that. It's new in that this is the first year we're seeing the BTO23 in a Tires Gear Guide. It's old in that this tire was introduced in 2010 and actually was sunset by Bridgestone. The response for this tire was so strong it actually came back. So we're actually seeing a returning tire, a tire back from the grave, the zombie, here in the 2016 Tire Gear Guides. Let's talk about what makes this so great. Neutral handling. This is a tire that does well wet weather, dry weather. For those of you on sport touring bikes, if you're looking to get out there, maybe you're on, say, a Z800 or perhaps a Bandit, you're on something where you need a decent mix of grip, but you also don't want to be changing tires every 3,000 or 4,000 miles, BTO23 is a good bet for you. I like to tell folks the BTO23 is the tire to think about when you don't want to think about your tires. Now, this is going to slot in directly too with Bridgestone's T30 Evo, but this is going to be the more economy-based option, and it is that big savings in cost keeps the price down, which puts this into 2016's Tire Gear Guide. So for those of you who are looking for a good mileage sport touring tire, take a look at the BTO23. Let's get that out of the way, and let's move on to the next comer. It's going to be the Pilot Road 4. Again, another returning multi-time Tires Gear Guide champion. The Pilot Road 4 has a lot going for it. Construction-wise, this is a tire I absolutely love. One of the things I want to show you here, this tire has loads of siping, not just treads, the larger voids you'll see here, but there's also siping in this tire. And siping allows the tire to sort of sponge up the water and hold onto it and then eject it once the contact patch rolls forward. It's straight out of the automotive world. I absolutely love how these tires perform in wet weather. You've heard me say it before, and I will say it again. If you call us up and we know you're on some sort of a generic sport bike and we don't know exactly what you plan on doing, we're probably likely to recommend you into a Pilot Road 4 simply because there's so many satisfied Michelin customers with this tire. So one of my other personal favorite things about the PR4 is that this is a family. The Pilot Road 4 also comes in a GT version. Going to be great for those of you on Kawasaki Concourses, FJRs, fully loaded sport touring machines. Often those are the hardest horses to shoe, specifically because they're fast, but they're also very heavy motorcycles. And then the other member of the PR4 family that I personally really love is the Pilot Road 4 Trail. Going to be a great option for those of you who have bought an ADV bike, say a Tiger, or perhaps you're sitting upright on a V-Strom. You bought that bike maybe because you like the seating position, you like the upright seating, you're comfortable, you get good wind protection, it's comfortable, but you have no pretense of going off-road. The PR4 Trail is made in sizes to fit those bikes, so you can also get long-wearing on-road comfort. And it's that family setup that makes the Pilot Road 4 such a winner, and that's why it's in this year's 2016 Tires Gear Guide. Now remember, click that info button, you can shop the entire Tire Gear Guide collection. If not, stay tuned because we're moving into the sticky buns section. Alrighty, we're now into the street performance section of things. I think this is the part of the video that I identify with most strongly, simply because you throw away all rational thought of getting good mileage simply to have a little bit of fun and destroy something you love. So we're kicking off with another returning Tires Gear Guide champion here, the Dunlop Q3. This is the tire that just about every track rat gear geek who works here at RevZilla will recommend to you if you're a working stiff. I think this is definitely the working man's sport bike tire, and the reason I say that is this is equally at home on the track as it is on the street. So for those of you who don't necessarily have the luxury of a spare set of wheels or tires and you don't have a dedicated track-only bike, a Q3 is going to give you acceptable levels of track stickiness, but you're also going to get decent mileage out of these, and there's a couple reasons for that. First, looking at this puppy, you've got a dual compound rear tire and a single compound front. And what that means is through the middle section of this tire, there's a little bit of there's a different compound rubber, a little bit harder here, and it's going to keep you from flat spotting a tire if you do happen to jump on your bike and head out for a little bit of highway mileage, taking a ride somewhere. You're not going to have that squared off tire. That's no good. The other cool part about these two, carbon fiber right in the sidewalls here, give loads of feedback, so you can definitely feel what the bike is doing underneath you when you are kicking it there at the track. Q3 currently undefeated as far as value for the fellow who's riding both street and track, and that's why it's here in the 2016 Tire Gear Guides. Let's get that out of the way, and let's talk about a newcomer to the pack. Right now we've got the Pirelli Diablo Rosso 3. Perhaps unsurprisingly, this is taking the spot of the Diablo Rosso 2. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't have any seat time on this yet. This is brand new, hot off the presses. We just barely were able to sneak it into the 2016 Gear Guide, but Pirelli is promising a lot out of this tire. There's a few things about this I think are going to be standout. First, I love the W rating on here. This is a hypersport tire. This is made to go on super fast bikes. Secondly, let's look at this tire. Super squishy. Everything deforms very easily here. I think what that means for a lot of you guys who are going to take this to the track is that the contact patch is going to be able to stay stuck right to the pavement. It's going to allow this tire to mold directly to the ground underneath it. I think that's going to leave a lot of you with some great grip. So just in terms of where this slots in, I think you're probably going to see a little better mileage out of this than you would if you're looking at something like a Pirelli Diablo Rosso Corsa, but I think you're going to get better grip out of this than a Pirelli Angel. This is something I'm waiting to hear back on. I think 2016 we're going to find this is going to be a fan favorite. Let's get this out of the way and we'll talk about the final tire up here. Perhaps slightly surprising, we haven't left you guys on cruisers out in the rain here. We actually have something for you too, specifically those of you riding around on Harleys. So you can see I have here a Michelin Scorcher tire. This is a tire I've got plenty of mileage on at this point. I really like these things. I've said it before and I will say it one more time. This is about the only factory OEM Harley-Davidson tire I think I would purchase again after burning a stock set off of a motorcycle. I spent about 1,000 miles on one of these on our Harley Street 750 when we did our review, and I really liked these. The turn-in on these tires are absolutely fantastic. They really stick to the road well. And then I did about another 1,000 miles on a V-Rod, and boy, I really enjoyed those. I had about a week of rainy weather, ran that V-Rod through all sorts of wet weather. The only time I had one of the tires step out on me was in the rain on the highway coming over a bots dot. That kind of grip from a Harley tire is a little bit crazy. So these actually come in a couple different flavors. You've got the Scorcher 11, the 31, and the 32 differing in their tread pattern. I'm particularly partial to the 31. It's a very traditional looking tread pattern, so you don't necessarily have to have a modern look like you get on this Harley tire here, the Scorcher 11. Swinging around here, one of the other things I really dig about this, I'm a big fan of keeping OEM stuff OEM when possible. I love the fact you've got the call out to the Harley right here on the tire itself, and as of right now, you can get that look direct from us here at RevZilla.com. Now at this stage of the game, if you love any of these street performance tires you've seen, click on the info button and we will bring you right to the 2016 Tires Gear Guide collection. For those of you who want to hang in for the rest of the video, stay tuned, we've got ATV off-road tires coming up next. Alrighty, we're here in the ATV and off-road section. This year in the 2016 Tires Gear Guide, we paid a lot of attention to 50/50 tires. ATV and dual sport's a huge category, and we have some really great contenders this year. Kicking off first with the Mitas E07 tire. Now we identified this in the 2015 Tires Gear Guide as a potential up-and-comer, and now it's standing up here, really one of the premier tires in that ATV 50/50 sort of segment. For those of you who are spending equal amounts of time on the pavement and off, the E07 is a great tire to take a peek at. Now this is going to run a modified chevron pattern like you can see on a lot of the 50/50 tires. This has become a very popular pattern to run tread-wise because it works really well. One of the things I love about the E07, with this modified chevron, you'll notice there's not a continuous center rib here till you wear down quite a few of the tread blocks. I like that because it means you're going to get better off-road hook. So especially in those conditions where you're ascending a hill, say, your rear tire is going to be able to bite in just a little bit at the expense of slightly more road noise. The other thing that's a big standout for me on the E07 is the Dakar version of this tire. Now the Dakar version of the E07 offers a sidewall that is puncture resistant. So for those of you guys who are zipping around the Southwest, perhaps you've had a trip ended early by cholla cactus spines. Those of you zipping around down south, perhaps in the Ozark region, I know you've run into chert rock or shale. That can put a quick end to a trip, and the Dakar version of this tire will give you the best chance at giving your tires a little bit of fight and keep them living a long and happy life. So the E07 for me, big winner this year in 2016. Let's move on to the next contender. You can see here we have a Mifo Explorer. So I feel like this year the Mifo Explorer is sort of playing the same role the E07 played last year. This is the newbie, they're the rookie contender, but we're selling the snot out of these things. We can't keep them in the warehouse fast enough. They're flying off the shelves. We're stacking them deep and selling them cheap because this is a great tire. Again, modified chevron pattern here. You can see also too within the tread blocks, we've got areas for mud to collect and be spat back out. These are going to be a tire that are great at ejecting mud from them. So this is something that's going to perform well off the road, but again, looking at the contour here, you can see this is also going to be a reasonably quiet on-road performer too. Going to be important for those of you guys on larger bikes that are ATV geared. I'm thinking specifically of those of you guys on GS Adventures. 2016 winner, I'm really excited to see how that pans out for the year. Wrapping things up, I have sort of a bittersweet tire in my hand right now, the Heidenau K60 Scout. This thing has been in just about every single Tires Gear Guide we've had. This is an awesome tire. You can see here, continuous center rib, so this is sort of going to play against that E07. For those of you who are worried about road noise, you do want a nice even wear pattern on your tire. The K60 Scout, a lot of these sizes are going to have that continuous center rib. The other important part, I think, too, is that they modify the tread pattern based on the tire width. That, to me, says that Heidenau is testing these tires on a pretty wide variety of motorcycles. I really do love that. The K60 Scout has just been a perennial favorite around here. I have to say, it's been up here so many times. It's such a good performer, but I'm wondering, is the K60 Scout going to get a refresh? Or perhaps are we going to see something new from Heidenau on this tire? Love this tire, but you know, as the Mifo Explorer and the Mitas E07 are showing, there are other tires making inroads into really, I think, what the K60 Scout really defined as a category. Awesome performer for 2016. I'll be curious to see what else comes out during this year. And I also wonder too if we're going to see this for 2017. Let's get this puppy out of here. So remember, you can click that info button, shop any of the tires you've seen in this Tires Gear Guide. Keep in mind too that this is part of our larger collection of gear guides. We have some RevZilla experts curating, helping you figure out the very best of the best for lots and lots of categories in 2016. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube, and if you need a hand, whether we're talking fitment or you just want to call somebody up and see what tire might work best for your application, don't be afraid to get on the horn with one of our gear geeks. 877-792-9455. You can always drop us an email too. CS@RevZilla.com. I'm Lemmy. I'm out of here.